Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back. It is Sunday, January 19th, and it is 11:01 p.m. Eastern Time. I am back for the second video tonight, and this one is going to cover the news. So let's jump in, and we'll go over here. And I didn't thank these people in the last video, but I wanted to in this one. Coffee donors, Susan B., Shirley H., and Jamie, thank you so much for your coffee donations. I appreciate that very, very much. It keeps us going. Well, I shouldn't say us. It keeps me going and allows me to do this. And Patreon picked up another subscriber, and I must have spelt this name wrong, but it's Janine McCool. I don't think that's her real name, but I like it. So, well, Janine is probably her first name, but McCool, probably not. All right, but thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And let's jump into the news for tonight. And let me see here. The first couple things don't really have to do with news per se, but I wanted to bring them to you, and then the rest will be more pertinent. So let's start here. And this is not new, it's from 2018, but Iran cancels age restriction for marriage. UN is silent to avoid damaging Islam's image. Now, this is interesting. I hadn't heard this actually, and I thought it was important, so I thought that I would bring it to you guys tonight. I'm not going to belabor the point, but the Islamic Republic of Iran, member of UN Women's Board, has just rejected a parliamentary motion to ban child marriage for under 13-year-olds. Each year, more than 300 girls under 9 and 40,000 girls under 13 years old marry in Iran. An estimated 12 million girls under 18 are married each year. Girls who marry before they turn 18 are less likely to remain in school and more likely to experience domestic violence. Everything possible must be done to protect these vulnerable children. And I think we all agree with that, although I'm not sure what can be done. But, and you've probably seen this picture of the young girls getting married. It's awful, it's horrendous, but it is going on, and it's still going on. So there's no age restriction in Iran, so they can marry them at just as young as they want, which is a little, well, to say that it's disconcerting is a colossal understatement. So let's go back here, and this is along the same line. I thought this was interesting, and again, this is not new news, but when was this? I don't have a date here. Oh well. Top Saudi sheikh issued fatwa, and of course, a fatwa is like, it has to be followed. I can't remember what the actual definition of fatwa is, but let's look it up. Oops. It is a ruling on a point of Islamic law given by a recognized authority. So it is a ruling on a point of Islamic law. A fatwa is a non-binding legal option on a point of Islamic law given by a qualified authority. All right, so a top Saudi sheikh issued fatwa: starving man can eat his wife if he is really hungry. Wow. I mean, really? Apparently so. Sheikh is a Muslim cleric at a higher level than imam. While Imam has to enforce religious laws, Sheikh can make them up. Saudi Grand Mufti Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah has issued a new fatwa saying men in the Arab Muslim world can eat their wives if they are suffering severe hunger. The fatwa guidelines allow a husband to eat his wife's body parts in extreme circumstances. Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah had earlier stirred a controversy when he called on all churches to be destroyed under the Islamic law. This is how Sharia law is practiced all over the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. Women are considered citizens of type B without freedom, without human rights, and without autonomy over their own bodies. Sharia includes child marriage, forced marriage, child brides, polygamy, FGM, acid attack, which is female genital mutilation, acid attacks, honor killings, beheading and stoning. Sharia has no place in the civilized world. I agree with that. So I guess, gee, what do they know that we don't know about what's coming when they issue something like that? You know, if you're really hungry, eat your wife. There's a lot of jokes in that, but none that I'm going to delve into. All right, that's that. And we can move on now to this. Now, this is alarming. This is coming out in the news. It's everywhere, and people are going ballistic, especially in Puerto Rico, and they should. And might I just add that this is exactly what Donald Trump said, and nobody believed him? I'm just pointing that out. Now, Puerto Rico Governor Vasquez Garst fires the island. Oh, okay. Governor Vasquez Garst fires, I don't know, is that her last name? Governor Vasquez Garced fires the island's emergency management director after a video showing aid sitting unused in a warehouse since Hurricane Maria struck in 2017. And Democrats and lying media blamed our POTUS. Yes, they did. They were merciless. And they kept saying he was lying. He kept saying, we're sending aid. It's not getting to the people. Nobody would believe him. And I think he stated how much aid they had sent. It was a lot. So this is where the aid went. There's probably other warehouses like this somewhere.
Para los que no vieron, Pampers. Miren cómo están los Pampers ahí, mírenlo. 6, 4 meses. Mírenlo ahí. Miren, comida de bebé, Ensure, todo. Vamos a seguir mirando aquí, miren. Party, más Pampers, miren. Todo lo que se necesita ahora mismo. Y botella. Y el pueblo necesitando. Y ellos descariando, politiqueando, miren. Miren. Mira, encontré hasta botellas y todo. Mira, Huggies, Pampers.
Look at this. And this warehouse is huge, and it's packed with supplies.
Allá abajo hay más cosas, shops. Mírenlos ahí abajo. Más botellas de agua. Estas son botellas vacías para almacenar el líquido. Wipes, miren. Miren, el pueblo necesitando y el gobierno dice, Rivera Chat, dime ahora. Dime ahora. Viste que nosotros somos brutos, Rivera Chat. Viste.
I don't know what he's saying, but I can imagine.
Viste, Rivera Chat, que nosotros somos bien brutos, viste. Somos bien brutos. Porque somos un pueblo unido, que podemos más que ustedes. Descarados. Eliezer, dime de esto,
I think he shows more.
Miren todas las paletas que hay.
So much stuff in there.
Todas las paletas que hay. Y la gente, y la gente. Miren, miren esto. Radio. Miren, de alarma.
Like, look at all this stuff. And it was sent over, and the people were going hungry, without water, without basic necessities, and it was all sitting in a warehouse. And that's what we kept hearing, because Trump kept saying to us that, look, we're sending aid, it's not getting to the people. What were they supposed to do? And turns out he was right, again, as he has been in all other things. Unbelievable. And this person says, Trump was right. Puerto Rico Dems have been corrupt to their core for 70 plus years. Not good enough. All Dems who are involved in abuse of relief aid, including Puerto Rico's governor himself, should be replaced with Republican conservatives who can restore Puerto Rico's name. Well, definitely they need to be replaced. Absolutely. No question about that. But yeah. And look at this. This is the people of Puerto Rico are great, but the politicians are incompetent or corrupt. Yeah, you can say that again. So I'm sure they'll find a way somehow to blame that on Trump. It'll be his fault that it's sitting in the warehouse. It's sad, but you know how they are. Okay, now, if you are planning on going to this protest or whatever this is tomorrow in Richmond, Virginia, please, please, please be safe, because I am seeing things that are making my skin crawl. Really. There's a lot of videos out there if you want to, check it out, because some people are on the ground there showing how they're gearing up. Antifa is already there on the ground. Antifa is setting up the barriers, bolting them into the sidewalks. Interesting. So let's look at this. All right. Antifa group plans to march alongside pro-gun protesters in Virginia. So they're going to march with the protesters, and they will be dressed probably in MAGA hats and MAGA stuff, so that if anything happens, they will blame Trump supporters. This is setting up like a classic false, FLAG. So something's up with this. I'm telling you, even though I would be one that would want to march, I wouldn't go there. After seeing the things that I've seen, I wouldn't go. I'm not telling you not to go. I'm telling you to be safe. And this is just not setting up to be what. Something's going on. They're planning something. I do believe that. A diverse gathering of pro-gun protesters set to descend upon Virginia's capital on Monday could include an unlikely ally, a local Antifa group, in what Vice called a bizarre meeting of the minds. Richmond-based Antifa, Seven Hills also strongly opposes the gun measures now likely to become law since Democrats won control of both Virginia houses last year, and they too want Democratic leaders in Richmond to know. Now, I don't personally think that's why Antifa is going. I think that they are going to start something. And of course, one of their directives is to wear, anything, the MAGA hat or Trump, pin or Trump shirt, whatever, because then whatever they do is going to be blamed on Trump supporters. But if they're wearing masks, I don't know of any Trump supporter that would wear a mask, because they're not out to do anybody any harm, and wouldn't care if their face was shown. So if you see somebody in Trump gear, but their face is covered, really stay away from that person. Who knows what's going to happen. So anyway, I think it's pretty important for us to focus on the fact that gun control in America has a legacy of racist enforcement. An Antifa Seven Hills spokesperson called James, a self-identified anarchist who withheld his real name for fear of getting doxxed, told Vice, like taking guns away from black people because black people were perceived as a threat to property and the sanctity of state. This is our fight as much as anyone else's, James continued. It's our state, and we are left largely out of the debate. The presence of an armed left is not discussed, it's not understood. To the armed left, gun control represents the rise of a police state and the oppression of minorities made powerless by disarmament, but it's a class issue as well. Now, this is the thing. I don't believe this article because if it's just a local group that's concerned about the same concerns as those that are pro-guns, then yeah, why are they busing all these people in? You know, they're saying it's a local group, but there are busloads and busloads being bussed in and probably paid well by people like Soros. Yeah, so that's one thing to be cautious of, because Antifa is going to be there. I saw a video, somebody on Facebook, and she was on the ground. The language was a bit much, and it was long, so that's why I'm not playing it. But it showed what they're setting up, and I'm telling you, the way the barricades are, they are herding everybody into a small, you know, into this really small, like the size of a sidewalk. In fact, it is the sidewalk, and there's one way into the protest and there's one way out. It's going to be a nightmare. If anyone starts shooting there, how are people going to be able to get free and take cover? Because one way in, one way out, to me, it's a nightmare being set up. You know, maybe I'm being too alarmist, I don't know, but given the fact that we know what their end is, disarming us, wouldn't it be a perfect place for something to happen that would necessitate de-arming? Because then they could say, well, see, they were protesting for guns and look what happened, and this is why we need to take guns. Wouldn't that be a perfect narrative? So please be cautious. Please be cautious. If you are in Richmond, Virginia, and I am pretty sure that with all the people that watch this, that there is at least a few from Richmond, Virginia, let us know what's happening. And if you notice anything, if you have seen the downtown area in Richmond, what do you feel? How do you feel about this? Are people a little bit apprehensive? I know they're taking away the parking. They're shutting the parking garages down, and they don't know if local businesses will be open or not. But this is a huge deal, and I'd like to hear from some people that are actually in Richmond. So if that's you, comment. Put your comments in the down below, and let us know, because we're all interested. Okay, now let's go to this, and we looked at this already. However, Virginia State Senator goes public 72 hours before rally. We are being set up. Now, I happen to agree with her, and, you know, she should know. Really. So let's take a look at this. And it says a Virginia state senator has sounded a warning bell 3 days before a massive rally is set to coalesce in the Commonwealth's capital. Conservative Senator Amanda Chase of District 11 took to Facebook on Friday with a warning for every patriot who plans to attend the pro-Second Amendment rally Monday in Richmond. Her warning came the same week that Democratic Virginia Governor Ralph Northam issued an executive order temporarily banning firearms in the Capitol Square. Isn't that interesting? So nobody's going to be armed in the Capitol Square. They're being, they're shaping them like they're what do you call that? You know, from a large crowd, they kind of herd you into, where the protest is going to be, and there is only one way out. Nobody's going to be armed. What do you think is going to happen? Because we know what happens in places that are unarmed, because then only the criminals have the guns and nobody will be able to defend themselves. I don't like that at all. So, sadly, I am posting this knowing that the governor of Virginia has declared a state of emergency in our state. Chase wrote, I want you to be aware of how we are being set up. Does the Patriot Act ring a bell? Does the National Defense Authorization Act ring a bell? Chase argued that these laws could be a label used to label pro-Second Amendment activists as domestic terrorists. Specifically, she warned those who are planning to attend wearing military fatigues or rocking militia insignia. The governor, using the media, has already set the stage for this to happen. Chase wrote, he has already laid the groundwork to make the entire movement look like insurrection. It's not just militia members and those wearing camouflage who have reason to worry. According to Chase, even some military veterans have been flagged as potential threats. They are kicking things into high gear, Chase wrote. Military veterans are even listed as potential domestic terrorists. We were told not once, but several times by the current president, it's not me they are after, it's you, the American people. Northam, indeed, claims to have intelligence that some of the groups attending the Monday rally will be intent on insurrection. Gee, I wonder where he's getting that intelligence from, because if you were attending a group and you were intent on insurrection, would you tell the governor of the state? No, I didn't think so. Right. So, however, this is the first time we have seen such a dire warning from a state official like Chase. So, yeah, this is interesting. Now, the other thing is, I saw another video where they are, targeting people way out of Richmond, Virginia, that are planning to go to this event. Like, the police are showing up at their door. So there's some things on Twitter. If you look for it, it's there. That's a little bit, it's a lot disconcerting, to tell you the truth. It's odd. It's very strange. So let's go back here and let's look at this, because this coincides with the rally as well. Something's going on. U.S. military jams GPS across East Coast as FBI seizes night vision devices. Now, this is interesting because back a number of years ago, they used to sell like just little cameras that had night vision on them. And, you could, or infrared. And you could buy, cameras with infrared, whatever, and take pictures. And there's all sorts of reasons why you might want to do that. But I guess they banned that. So no camera has it now. And the ones that had it are very, very hard to find. And I think it was, probably the same reason that they're seizing night vision devices, because you can see in the dark and you can see what they're doing. In case you didn't fully realize that something big is about to take place in America, file these two facts. Number one, the U.S. military Carrier Strike Group 4, CSG-4, is jamming GPS signals from January 16th to the 24th, which may overlap the planned Deep State false flag event in Richmond, Virginia. Richmond is just at the margins of the range of the GPS jamming exercise map released by the military. The epicenter of the so-called exercise is off the coast of Georgia. The official FAA announcement claims no jamming will take place on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week, but we don't trust the FAA, so your mileage may vary. Remember, too, that 90% of the American population know below the age of 30 has never read a paper map and can't use a compass. Wow. It wouldn't surprise me, but I really, really hope that's not true. These are skills that, gosh, I learned in elementary school. The GPS jamming exercise continues through January 24th and affects South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Eastern Tennessee, Alabama, and all of Florida. The AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, has posted details of the warning here. The FAA has also issued a flight advisory warning aircraft pilots that GPS will fail for several hours each day during the military jamming exercise. And here is the actual advisory here, And also, this is a map of the Carrier Strike Group 4 GPS testing. Here are the areas that will be impacted. So these are the areas. All of that. GPS will be jammed. Note that this is the U.S. military testing GPS jamming capabilities in anticipation of an event that would require such jamming. Obviously, consider the convergence of events now shaping up. The impeachment trial of President Trump by the U.S. Senate, presided over by the treasonous sellout Justice Roberts, who already sold out America to Obama under the wildly unconstitutional Obamacare decision years ago. The January 20th Lobby Day event in Richmond, Virginia, where deep state operatives are absolutely trying to put together a false flag event to cause violence and blame gun owners. The mysterious drone flights over Colorado, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, recently followed up by an emergency meeting with the Oklahoma legislature on a military base where they were briefed about something horrific and life-altering. Wow. The FBI's sudden attempt to confiscate high-end night vision tubes from distributors, indicating an emergency need for night vision capabilities in an agency led by a treasonous traitor, Chris Wray, and that has a long history of planning and carrying... Okay, treasonous traitor, Chris Wray, and he has a long history of planning and carrying out terrorism plots across America, according to the New York Times and the Kansas City Star. Now, number 2, the FBI invokes eminent domain to seize high-end night vision tubes. The FBI is now claiming eminent domain to essentially seize high-end night vision tubes that power night vision goggles from distributors in the United States. This indicates the FBI has an emergency effort underway to acquire large numbers of night vision devices in anticipation of some urgent event, which will take place at night, possibly another FBI false flag operation like Oklahoma City or the 1993 attempted World Trade Center bombing, which was entirely masterminded by the FBI. As Dave Hodges is reported from the Common Sense Show, Bob Griswold from ReadyMadeResources.com relates a shocking event where he had already locked in the purchase of 70 night vision tubes from the distributor and had those tubes invoiced and committed. Within hours, the FBI claimed eminent domain over the tubes, effectively seizing them from Ready Made Resources before they could even be shipped. We reviewed a letter written to RMR by their distributor, confirming that the government preempted the order to RMR and claimed they had ownership over the gear because they were the government. An hour ago, I spoke with Griswold on the phone to confirm the situation, and he told me he thought they were no more than 200 high-end night vision devices remaining in the entire country. This excludes the crappy Generation 1 and Generation 2 night vision devices, which nobody wants anyway. I'm told that inventory units are flying off the shelves and will be gone everywhere in the next 1 to 2 business days. Yes, there is a run on night vision in America happening right now. Here's the relevant question. What is the FBI planning that would require hundreds of night vision devices? Answer: probably another bombing, mass shooting, mass casualty event, or some other terrorism flashpoint that the FBI is famous for causing. Just ask the church members of Waco, Texas, or not, since they're all dead, thanks to the FBI and ATF. Earlier this week, Alex Jones declared on his broadcast that the deep state was going to attempt to assassinate Trump next week. Could this military exercise and the FBI night vision devices and the drones scanning the Midwest all be related? Most likely, yes. Listen to my urgent false flag warning podcast, which covers the possibility of deliberate violence being staged for Monday, January 20th in Richmond, Virginia. So there you go. Something big is happening. Whether or not anyone believes it, this is not normal. Of course, it doesn't seem like anything is normal anymore. It seems like we've entered bizarro land or some other land of which we are aliens. You know, it does. It feels like you're in a foreign place. All these things happen. They're just weird stuff happening all over. But this takes the cake. And I do believe it is related. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we need to pray for people's safety. We don't want any innocent people to die. Absolutely not. So pray for people's safety and pray for our country. Pray for the president if you are a believer, because I'm telling you, that is not an easy job. And what he has done is unprecedented. It's unprecedented. We've never had a president make these. I mean, we've had good presidents, and of course, I don't know the story behind every single president of the United States, but it seems like he's accomplished more in his time in office than any of the others, even those that were in for 8 years. So there you go. And they don't like it, the swamp. All right, let's look up this. Now, okay, we're going to look at this. This is interesting and important, by the DC Patriot. And this is today, so it's fresh news. It says, shocker, Obama granted amnesty to terror chief Soleimani as part of Iran deal, according to new reports. Oh, actually, no, this is January 8th. This was written, so it's old news, but I hadn't heard this. This is absolutely stunning news coming from our friends over at News Punch. Former President Barack Obama granted amnesty to Iranian terrorist mastermind General Qasem Soleimani as part of the 2015 Iran deal, according to newly surfaced reports. The reports, which prove Obama was the most dangerous president in U.S. history and an inveterate supporter of global terrorist activity, reveal that Obama administration removed Soleimani from a list of Iranian outlaws, along with other leaders of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. According to an in-depth geopolitical report in The Telegraph in 2015, defense editor Khan Kalin questioned Obama's decision to protect the Iranian terror chief and declared that Soleimani fully deserves his reputation as one of the world's leading terrorist masterminds. For over a decade, he has been the driving force behind an array of Iranian-sponsored terrorist groups, from Hezbollah to Hamas, which have orchestrated a reign of terror throughout the Middle East, according to the report. Found buried on page 86 of the annex of President Obama's historic deal with Iran, Soleimani was granted amnesty and was taken off the list of blacklisted terrorists, together with a number of senior members of the Islamic Republic's Revolutionary Guards. And you can read more over at newspunch.com. This by Matt Couch. So, wow, is all I can say. Not surprised at all, but wow. I'll say it backwards. Wow. Okay, let's look at the next item, which actually I think I'm going to jump down here. We can cover the rest. I'll tack it on to tomorrow's news, but let's go. Okay, also, this was released. I have not had an opportunity to go through it, so I can't really talk about what's in it yet, but it is Donald Trump's answer to the impeachment articles. So let's see. And what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to put this on as the first comment, and I'm going to pin it there so that if you want to download it, just hit on the link, because I'm sure some of you want to see this. It is 7 pages long, and it is the answer of President Donald J. Trump in proceedings before the United States Senate. So this is just out, and it's important. So I haven't read it yet. I'm going to, but I haven't had a chance, but I did want to make you guys aware of it, and I will put the link in the first pinned comment. All right. Now, let's go back here because we have something interesting. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scrape the microphone. Yeah, that's what it's called, microphone. Yeah, let's look at this by QNN 107. Nancy Pelosi. Now, we've mentioned this before, but I know I've done a lot of videos, and so some of you may not remember, or you may. But Nancy Pelosi owns Goat Hill Pizza in San Francisco. Just a coincidence? Couldn't make this stuff up. No, you couldn't. And here is her giving the devil's sign and Goat Hill Pizza catering menu. And let's go down here because this is and there is a picture of the actual place, Goat Hill Pizza, owned by Nancy Pelosi. Interestingly enough. And let's come down here, and it says, found this, no sauce. Says Nancy Pelosi's Goat Hill Pizza restaurant is a front company used to funnel money to the Democrats. Guccifer 2 is Nancy Pelosi's Goat Hill Pizza restaurant, a front company used to funnel money to the Democrats. And of course, this is asked as a question, but it's not a question, it's a statement. So, interesting. No? I think interesting, yes. All right, and let's see if there's any more of this. Okay, and there's a bar called Goat Hill Tavern in OC, and says let me see, what is this? Okay, that is the Goat Hill Tavern, and we don't know if that is connected or not, but it says, interesting history, Alabama Goat Hill became Capitol Hill. The founder was hopeful, so he kept the prominent hill empty and left it to his goats. Following catastrophic floods in 1825, Cahaba was devastated and the capital was moved to Tuscaloosa. Well, that's interesting. Many goats lived and died on that hill, but Montgomery was patient. Finally, in 1846, the good people of Alabama saw reason. Okay, this is not related. So I'm going to get out of there. It's interesting, but not related. So, Goat Hill Pizza is owned by Goat Hill, Inc. People have pointed out Goat Hill's Pizzas, who is Guard, is registered in Panama. Well, that's odd, isn't it? And it says election Nancy Pelosi's email is listed as philip@goathill.com. Wow. The owner of Goat Hill Pizza is Philip DeAndrade. He was former staff member of Nancy Pelosi as recently as 2013, which can be found in the document NP Nancy Pelosi staff list updated. His email is philip@goathill.com. Goat Hill Pizza on Potrero Hill, Democratic Club's website links to the donations. So it's interesting. I don't care what anybody says. And, given the associations, I think there probably is more to that. And let's click off there and get back to the last item, which is something of interest, maybe not, but it sure is interesting. So it is just something frivolous but important if you happen to live in Newfoundland, or Newfoundland, as of course it's called. Now let's look at this. This is a time-lapse photography of the snow. Newfoundland is absolutely buried. I mean, really buried. So let's take a look at this. It's a 30-second time lapse of 24 hours of snowfall in Newfoundland, Canada. Hard to believe. Now, when we said Newfoundland is buried, it is. How would you even get out of that house if you had to? Really, snow is heavy. Anybody that lives up north and has to shovel it, snow is extremely heavy. So look at this. Like, how would you get out? And it keeps coming and it keeps coming. And you know what? There's another storm headed there. Yeah, the storm that just hit us left a foot of snow. They don't need another foot of snow. Unbelievable. So I thought I'd show you guys what Newfoundland in Canada is dealing with. And really, when they say it's buried, it's buried. I've never seen snowfall like that ever. They just got hit with a blizzard, and really, they are expecting more. So it's not a good situation at all. All right. Well, that is it for tonight. And it will give me time to get this uploaded. And I will cover these two things tomorrow. And we will call it a night, because it is night. It's 11:41 p.m. Eastern Time if you're on medication. And if you're not, maybe you need to be. I'm just, suggesting. All right. So that's it. Thank you, guys. And as always, stay safe. I'm suddenly in a very strange mood. I should keep recording just for, kicks and giggles, but I won't. No, I won't do that. All right. Good night, guys.